Have you ever wondered why some women capture a man's heart forever, while others fade from his memory as quickly as they appeared? Why is it that beauty alone is never enough, money never enough, status never enough? There's something deeper, something hidden beneath the surface, something every man is searching for, even if he doesn't know how to put it into words. And here's the truth. Men don't fall in love with appearances. They fall in love with a feeling, a very specific feeling that only certain women can give them. And once a man experiences it, he cannot forget it, or he cannot replace it. He cannot walk away from it. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people think love is about what you do for someone, the gifts you buy, the words you say, the way you look. And yes, those things matter, but they're not what creates lasting devotion. What captures a man's soul is not the surface. It's the emotional experience you awaken inside of him. It's the invisible atmosphere you create around him. That is what binds him to you. Now, listen closely, because this is where psychology becomes powerful. Human beings are wired to chase feelings more than facts. A man might admire your beauty. He might respect your intelligence. But what makes him stay is the way he feels in your presence. That's the reward system of the brain at work. Every time he associates you with peace, inspiration, respect, and strength, his mind releases a flood of emotions that tell him, don't let this go. This is home. Think about this. The most unforgettable people in your life are not the ones who looked the best or even the ones who said the most. They are the ones who made you feel something extraordinary, or safe, loved, inspired, understood. That's what imprints memories so deeply that they last for a lifetime. And it's no different for men in relationships. But here's the catch. Not every woman knows how to create this feeling. Many confuse it with pleasing a man or losing themselves to meet his every need, but that's not it. Because men are not drawn to weakness. They are drawn to authenticity. They are drawn to the kind of energy that makes them rise higher, not fall lower. And this is why you must stay with me until the end of this video. Because by the time we're done, you will know exactly what this feeling is. You'll understand the hidden psychology behind why men stay loyal, why they cherish some women endlessly, and why they let others go. You'll know what men love more than beauty, more than status, more than anything on the surface. And once you understand this, you will hold in your hands something more powerful than attraction. You will hold influence. Imagine this, a man comes home from the battles of life. He's tired. He's weighed down by the expectations of the world. He wears the mask of strength, but beneath it there's pressure. Beneath it there are fears. And then he sees her, the one woman who doesn't add to his battles but gives him peace. In that moment she becomes unforgettable. Because while the world may demand from him, she gives him something he can't find anywhere else, the one feeling he secretly longs for. That's the secret. That's the hook most women miss. Men don't love women for what they do on the outside. They love the ones who can touch them on the inside. They love women who give them a feeling they cannot find anywhere else. So let me ask you again, what is the one feeling men cannot resist? What is the invisible force that makes them choose one woman over 1,000 others? By the end of this video, you will know. And when you know, you'll see relationships differently forever. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to discover may just change the way you understand love, connection, and the psychology of attraction. It's not about chasing him, or it's not about proving yourself. It's about unlocking the one thing every man secretly craves. And once you learn this, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. So let's go deeper. If men don't fall in love with appearances, if they don't stay because of beauty or status, then what is it they truly want? What is the deep human desire that shapes every choice, every connection, every relationship? The truth is simple, yet powerful. Every man wants to feel valued. He wants to feel that he matters. He wants to feel that someone sees the weight he carries and still chooses to stand by his side. Beneath all the confidence, beneath all the armor, every man has one burning need, the need to be understood. Think about this for a moment. Human beings are wired to seek recognition. From childhood, we long for someone to notice us, to affirm us, to say, I see you, I believe in you, you matter. This doesn't disappear when a boy becomes a man. It only hides itself under layers of toughness and pride. But deep down, the desire remains. The strongest man in the room is still silently asking, does anyone really see me? And this is where psychology explains so much. The human brain is designed to seek belonging. Studies in Behavioral psychology revealed that the sense of being understood is one of the most powerful drivers of loyalty and attachment. When a man feels invisible, when he feels like nobody truly notices his efforts, he begins to shut down. He withdraws. He distances himself because the pain of being unseen is heavier than any physical burden. But when he feels recognized, when someone genuinely values who he is, not just what he does, he comes alive. He gives more, he loves more, he sacrifices more. Now, think about the men you know, the men who rise the highest, the men who achieve the most, the men who give their all. What fuels them? Is it money, fame, power, or is it the deep desire to prove themselves to someone who truly believes in them? Most often it is the latter, because when a man feels that someone understands him, he feels unstoppable. This is why men love women who give them this feeling, not because she is flawless, not because she says the perfect words, but because she makes him feel seen. She notices the effort he puts in. She values the battles he fights, even the silent ones. She acknowledges the man behind the mask, the human behind the role. That recognition creates a bond that cannot be broken. And here's the key. Men are not searching for women who will solve their problems. They are searching for women who will recognize the struggle and respect the effort. That is what ignites his devotion, because respect, at its core, is the oxygen that keeps a man alive. Without it, he suffocates. With it, he thrives. But why is this so powerful? Because when someone makes you feel valued, your brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, the very chemicals of happiness and bonding. For a man, the woman who triggers those emotions becomes associated with peace and fulfillment. It's not her appearance that makes her unforgettable. It's the way his entire nervous system relaxes in her presence. It's the way he feels safe to be human, without judgment, without fear. And here is a truth very few understand. Strength is never about having no weakness. Strength is about carrying weakness and still moving forward. Every man carries scars. Every man carries doubts. Every man carries the silent weight of expectations. But when he is with a woman who recognizes this without criticizing, without belittling, without comparing, he feels something rare. He feels understood. And that feeling is the most addictive feeling of all. Because here's the paradox. The world tells men to be strong, to be unshakable, to never show weakness. But deep inside, every man longs for a place where he can set the armor down, or a place where he is more than a provider, more than a fighter, more than a role. He longs for a place where he is simply human, and the woman who gives him that place becomes irreplaceable. This is the deep human desire, connection through recognition, love through understanding, respect through presence. When a woman gives a man this feeling, he doesn't just fall for her. He builds his future with her. He invests his loyalty, his strength, his protection, his devotion, because finally someone sees the truth of who he is. So remember this, men don't stay because of beauty alone. They don't stay because of perfection. They stay because of how you make them feel about themselves. When you value him, when you recognize him, when you see him as more than what the world demands, you awaken a power inside him that no one else can touch. That is the desire. That is the fuel. That is the one thing that keeps his heart tied to you forever. There is one experience that changes everything for a man. It is not money. It is not admiration from strangers. It is not even success. What transforms him most deeply is the moment he feels truly seen, not for the mask he wears, not for the roles he plays, but for the man he really is inside. Most men walk through life unseen. They play the role of the provider, the problem solver, the strong one. They work hard, they carry responsibility, and they fight silent battles. And yet, many of them feel invisible. The world applauds their victories but ignores their struggles. Society praises their strength but never asks about their pain. Even those closest to them often see only the surface, not the truth beneath it. But when a woman steps into his life and sees him, not just the achievements, not just the image, but the man himself, something powerful happens inside of him. He feels alive in a way he hasn't felt in years. He feels safe in a way the world never gave him permission to feel. That is the power of being seen. Psychology explains why this is so powerful. Every human being has a deep need for recognition, but for men it runs even deeper because they are conditioned to hide. They are told from a young age, don't cry, be strong, handle it. And so they build walls, they cover their emotions, they pretend they are fine when they are not. But behind that mask is a human being longing for connection. And the woman who sees through that mask touches the deepest part of his soul. This is why men love women who notice the little things, the effort he makes that no one else acknowledges, the sacrifices he gives without speaking of them, the struggles he carries in silence. When she recognizes those invisible battles, he feels something priceless. He feels understood. And in that moment, her presence becomes a sanctuary he doesn't want to leave. Think about how rare this is. Most people only look at results. They see the paycheck, the house, the car, the smile. They don't see the long nights, the silent stress, the weight on his shoulders. But when a woman looks deeper and says, I see how hard you try. I see the strength it takes to carry what you carry. Suddenly he feels less alone. That acknowledgement is not small. It is life-changing. Why? Because loneliness is not being without people. Loneliness is being surrounded by people who cannot see you. And men carry that loneliness more than they admit. They laugh, they work, they move forward, but inside they often feel unseen. And that is why the woman who truly sees him doesn't just stand out, she becomes unforgettable. But being seen is not about flattery. It is not about shallow compliments. Men can tell when words are empty. What pierces his heart is authenticity, real recognition, real acknowledgement, real respect. The kind that doesn't come from trying to impress, but from truly noticing who he is. That kind of recognition creates a bond stronger than any physical attraction. This is the reason some men will fight for a relationship even when the world is against them. This is why some men will stay loyal to one woman for a lifetime. Because deep inside, they know she sees me, she knows me, or she values me in a way no one else does. And when a man feels that, nothing else compares. Here's the paradox. Men don't always ask for this. They don't always put it into words. In fact, most will never admit they crave it. But their actions reveal it. When they find someone who makes them feel truly seen, they gravitate toward her. They open up in ways they never have before. They invest their heart, their energy, their loyalty, because what they found is rare. And this is the hidden truth. Men don't need perfection. They don't need endless praise. What they need is recognition of their humanity. The power of being seen is not about building his ego. It's about reaching the part of him that has been hidden for too long. And when that happens, everything changes. He becomes more confident, more giving, more protective. Or he becomes a better version of himself because finally he feels safe enough to be real. So never underestimate the power of this. Men fall in love with how they feel in your presence, and nothing makes them feel more alive, more connected, and more devoted than being seen for who they really are. Beauty may turn his head, but being understood captures his heart. Respect may impress him, but being truly recognized binds him to you forever. That is the power of being seen. There is a difference between making a man feel valued and putting him on a pedestal. One creates strength, the other creates weakness. One builds a bond of respect, the other creates dependency. And this is where so many relationships lose balance. Men don't want blind worship. They don't want someone to agree with everything they say, to cheer for every action without thought, to follow without question. That might feel flattering for a moment, but over time it becomes empty. What men truly desire is something deeper, validation that is real, honest, and grounded in truth. When a man feels genuinely validated, he feels capable. He feels empowered to keep going, to push harder, to live up to his own potential. But when he feels worship blindly, he begins to sense it isn't real. Deep down, he knows when words are spoken just to please him. He knows when someone is building him up out of fear instead of respect. And that doesn't inspire him. It weakens him. Here is the psychology behind it. Human beings thrive on authenticity. The brain responds differently to genuine acknowledgement compared to empty praise. Real validation activates motivation, while shallow flattery triggers suspicion and even resentment. This is why men are drawn to women who encourage them with truth. The right kind of validation doesn't make him arrogant, it makes him better. Think of it like this. Imagine a man climbing a mountain. Blind worship tells him, you're already at the top, you've done enough. Genuine validation tells him, I see how far you've climbed, and I know you can reach even higher. One holds him back. The other fuels his strength, and here is where the power of balance comes in. Men need encouragement, but they also need challenge. They love a woman who believes in them, but even more, they love a woman who sees their potential and refuses to let them settle for less. That balance creates respect. It tells him, I believe in you enough to tell you the truth, This is what builds deep loyalty. Because when a man feels this, he doesn't just see her as a partner, he sees her as someone who makes him greater, someone who doesn't just admire the man he is, but also calls out the man he could be. And when he feels that, he gives everything he has in return. But notice this, the woman who validates without worship never loses herself. She doesn't lower her standards just to keep his approval. She doesn't abandon her own identity. Instead, she respects herself while respecting him. And that balance makes her magnetic. Because men are not drawn to those who give up their power. They are drawn to those who use their power to inspire. Here is another truth. Validation without worship creates trust. When a man knows your words are real, when he knows you won't flatter him just to avoid conflict, he listens, or he values your voice. He looks to you when he is unsure. Why? Because he knows you will tell him the truth even when it's hard. And that truth becomes the foundation of the bond. Many relationships fail because one person begins to lose authenticity. They say what the other wants to hear instead of what they truly feel. And slowly, trust erodes. But when a man has a woman who validates him with honesty, who encourages his effort, respects his growth, but does not feed his ego blindly, he feels something rare. He feels safe enough to be imperfect, yet inspired enough to become better. Think about how powerful that is. To know that someone accepts you as you are, but still believes in the greater version of you. To know that you don't have to pretend, yet you're still being called to rise. That combination is irresistible. That is what makes a man fall in love on a level deeper than attraction. And here is the secret most overlooked. Men do not fall for women who make them feel perfect. They fall for women who make them feel capable. Worship feeds pride, but validation feeds purpose. And purpose is what drives a man to commit, to protect, to invest his heart fully. So understand this clearly. Men don't want worship. They want to feel that their effort matters. They want to feel that their growth is noticed. They want to feel that their presence makes a difference. And when a woman gives him that kind of validation, firm, honest, authentic, he doesn't just admire her. He respects her. He trusts her. He loves her in a way that does not fade. Because at the end of the day, men don't need someone who bows to them. They need someone who believes in them. And belief, when it is genuine, creates the kind of connection that lasts a lifetime. Strength is often what the world sees in a man. His ability to fight, to endure, to carry weight that others cannot. He is expected to be unshakable, to protect, to provide, to lead. And while that strength may look unbreakable from the outside, what many fail to see is that strength alone is never enough. Even the strongest men carry burdens they cannot show. And that is why strength needs softness. Every man lives with silent battles. He wakes up with responsibility on his shoulders, with expectations pressing against his chest. He moves through a world that demands performance, resilience, and control. And yet beneath all of that, he is still human. He feels fear. He feels doubt. He feels the ache of carrying too much alone. But he hides it because society tells him that showing weakness makes him less of a man. So he covers it with a mask of power. But no mask can silence the truth inside him. And this is where softness becomes powerful. When a woman brings softness into his life, she doesn't take away his strength. She gives him a place to rest it. She becomes the space where he doesn't have to perform, where he doesn't have to pretend, where he doesn't have to carry the armor that the world demands of him. That softness is not weakness, it is healing. Psychology shows that human connection is built on emotional safety. A man can be admired by many, respected by colleagues, feared by rivals, but none of that gives him peace. What gives him peace is the presence of someone who accepts him without conditions, someone who doesn't demand that he is always strong, but allows him to simply be. That is the kind of softness that strengthens him in ways the world never could. Think of a warrior who fights endless battles. His sword is sharp, his shield is heavy, his body is strong, but without a place to rest, without a home to return to, eventually his strength collapses. What keeps him going is not only the fight, but the knowledge that when the battle ends, he has a place of warmth, a place of peace, a place where he can lay down his weapons. That place is softness. That place is the energy of a woman who understands that strength needs balance. Here's the truth most people ignore. Men don't want constant conflict. They don't want to come home to another battlefield. They already fight enough outside. What they long for is peace, softness, and comfort in the presence of the woman they love. Not because they are weak, but because true strength doesn't fear tenderness. In fact, it craves it. This is why men love women who know how to blend respect with gentleness. The woman who sees his battles, respects his effort, but still offers kindness. Instead of constant criticism, warmth instead of cold distance. That balance doesn't make him lazy. It makes him stronger. Because when he feels that softness, he recharges. He finds new energy to face the world. He rises again, not because he has to, but because he wants to. And here is a truth hidden in human psychology. Stress weakens a man, but peace strengthens him. When his nervous system is always in battle mode, he eventually burns out. But when he is given softness, compassion, patience, understanding, his body relaxes, his mind clears, his heart opens. That is when he is able to love fully, to give fully, to commit fully. Softness does not mean submission. It does not mean lowering yourself or losing your voice. True softness is strength under control. It is the choice to bring peace where the world brings chaos. It is the wisdom to nurture instead of destroy, to comfort instead of compete. And that is what men never forget. Because when a man finds this softness, he doesn't just feel loved, he feels whole. He feels that he no longer has to fight every battle alone. He feels that he can face the world because he has a safe place to return to. And that kind of bond goes beyond attraction. It becomes sacred. So understand this, the strongest men are not looking for someone to challenge their strength at every turn. They are looking for someone who knows how to balance it, someone who respects their effort but also brings peace to their storm. Because strength without softness is exhausting. But strength with softness, that is unstoppable. This is why strength needs softness. Not to weaken it, but to complete it. Not to diminish it, to make it last. And the woman who brings that softness into a man's life becomes more than a partner. She becomes the very reason he keeps fighting, the reason he keeps building, the reason he keeps going. There is one feeling that decides everything for a man. One feeling that determines whether he opens his heart or closes it, or whether he builds his future with someone or keeps his distance. That feeling is trust. Trust is more than just believing someone will keep a promise. For a man, trust is the foundation of love itself. It is the invisible anchor that allows him to let down his guard, to share the parts of himself he hides from the world. Without trust, he holds back. With trust, he gives everything. Think about it. Men are taught to protect themselves, to stay guarded, to never expose too much. The world can be ruthless, and so they learn to carry their burdens quietly. But when a man finds a woman he can trust, everything changes. Suddenly, he feels safe to share his fears, his dreams, his doubts. He feels free to be vulnerable without the fear of being judged or betrayed. That is not weakness, it is the deepest form of connection. Psychology tells us that trust lowers fear. When the brain senses safety, the body relaxes, walls come down, and real intimacy becomes possible. A man can look strong on the outside, but if he doesn't trust, he will never fully open. He may stay present in the relationship, but a part of him will always remain hidden. And hidden hearts cannot fully love. This is why trust is the core feeling men crave. They love women who give them the confidence to be real. They love women who protect their vulnerabilities instead of using them against them. They love women who remain steady, not only in good times, but also when life becomes heavy. Because trust isn't proven when everything is easy. Trust is proven when everything is hard. Here's the truth. Men don't expect perfection, but they need consistency. They don't need constant agreement, but they need honesty. They don't need someone flawless, but they need someone dependable. Trust grows when words match actions, when promises are kept, when respect is shown even in disagreement. That is what makes a man feel safe enough to give his loyalty. And loyalty is not something men give lightly. When a man truly trusts, his loyalty is fierce. He protects, he invests, he builds, or he commits with a depth that cannot be shaken easily. But when trust is broken, he withdraws, not just from the relationship, but from his own openness, because betrayal cuts deeper than almost anything else. Think about how a man feels when he knows he can trust a woman. He feels that no matter what storm he faces outside, there is stability waiting for him at home. He feels that he doesn't have to wear his armor every second of the day. He feels that even when he is at his lowest, she will not abandon him, mock him, or use his weakness against him. That kind of trust creates unshakable devotion, but trust is not one-sided. A man also wants to feel trusted. He doesn't want to live under suspicion, under constant questioning, under doubt that drains his spirit. When a woman shows that she trusts him, trusts his decisions, his intentions, his commitment. He feels empowered to rise higher. He feels inspired to live up to that trust, because nothing motivates a man more than knowing someone truly believes in him. And here lies the paradox. The more a man feels trusted, the more he becomes trustworthy. The more he feels doubted, the more he withdraws. Trust is not just given, it is cultivated. It grows through respect, through patience, through shared experiences that prove loyalty over time. This is why men love women who bring them this feeling. Because trust is freedom. Freedom to be authentic. Freedom to be imperfect. Freedom to love without fear. And when a man feels that kind of freedom, he gives back with strength, with commitment, with a devotion that does not waver. So remember this. Trust is not built in a single moment. It is built in the small, consistent choices, in listening without judgment, in keeping words true, in standing steady when life shakes. And when a man experiences that trust, he doesn't just fall in love, he stays in love. He stays because he has found what he cannot find everywhere else. A bond built on truth, loyalty, and safety. That is why trust is the core feeling. Without it, love collapses. With it, love grows stronger than anything the world can test. And the woman who gives a man this gift doesn't just win his heart, she wins his soul. Trust creates the foundation, but respect is what allows love to breathe. A man can forgive mistakes, he can endure challenges, he can overcome trials, but without respect, he feels empty. Respect is the air his spirit needs to keep going. And no matter how strong a relationship may look from the outside, if respect is missing, it slowly suffocates. Respect is not about flattery. It's not about bowing down or losing yourself. True respect is about recognizing the dignity of another person. For a man, it is about feeling that his voice matters, that his effort is acknowledged, that his presence is valued. When he feels respected, he stands taller. He becomes stronger, not only for himself, but for the woman who gives him that respect. The opposite of respect is control. And control kills love. When a man feels controlled, when every decision is questioned, when every action is doubted, when he feels he is being treated like a child instead of a man, something inside of him begins to die. His spirit shrinks, his energy weakens, and instead of leaning closer, he pulls away. Why is this so powerful? Psychology tells us that human beings are wired for autonomy. We thrive when we feel free to make choices, when our decisions are respected, when we are trusted with responsibility. But when control replaces respect, the brain associates the relationship with stress, not peace. Instead of feeling safe, he feels trapped. And no one thrives in a cage. This is why men move away from control and toward respect, because respect makes him feel capable, trusted, and strong. It tells him, I see you as a man. I see you as someone who can lead, who can decide, who can carry responsibility. And when he feels that, he rises to it. He wants to prove that trust right. He wants to live up to the respect he has been given. But respect is not blind agreement. It is not silence in the face of mistakes. Real respect means speaking truth without belittling. It means challenging without shaming. It means expressing needs without attacking his worth. The woman who understands this creates growth instead of conflict. She shows that respect and honesty can exist together. And that combination makes her unforgettable. Think of it this way. Control says, do what I say because I don't believe you can handle it. Respect says, I trust you to handle this and I believe in you. One weakens him, the other empowers him. And when a man feels empowered by respect, he doesn't just give back. He gives more than he ever has before. Men are naturally drawn to women who respect their individuality, who don't try to mold them into someone else, or who don't constantly compare them, criticize them, or hold them against impossible standards. Respect allows him to breathe as himself, and when he feels accepted, or for who he is, he has the courage to grow into who he could become. And here is where the power lies. Respect is not only about the big things, it shows up in the smallest details, in the tone of voice used during conflict, in the patience shown when he struggles, in the gratitude expressed for the things he does. Those little moments add up, and together they tell him, you matter. I see you. I honor who you are. That message is more powerful than beauty, more lasting than charm. It creates devotion that does not fade. But control does the opposite. Control sends the message, I don't believe in you. I don't trust you. You're not enough unless you do what I say. And that message breaks a man's spirit. It turns love into resistance, connection into distance, passion into silence. So here is the truth. If you want a man's heart, respect it. Respect his efforts even when they are small. Respect his role even when the world overlooks it. Respect his dreams even when they are still in the making. Because when a man feels respected, he doesn't just love, he cherishes. He doesn't just stay, he protects. He doesn't just commit, he gives his soul. And that is why men love women who offer respect instead of control. Because control may win obedience for a moment, but respect wins loyalty for a lifetime. Control may silence him, but respect makes him speak from the depths of his heart. Control pushes him away, but respect pulls him closer. In the end, respect is not about agreeing with everything he does. It is about believing in who he is. And when a man feels that, he knows he has found something rare, or something worth holding on to, something he will never let go. When a man feels trusted and respected, something powerful awakens inside of him. It is more than love. It is more than attraction. It is a shift in the way he sees himself and the way he shows up in the world. This shift is what transforms an ordinary relationship into an unbreakable bond. Most men go through life carrying silent doubts about who they are. They push forward, they work hard, they wear strength on the outside, but deep within, they question themselves. Am I enough? Or am I capable? Do I matter? These questions never leave, no matter how much they achieve. Success may silence them for a while, but it never erases them. And that is why the right kind of relationship can change everything. When a man feels respected, he begins to believe more in himself. When he feels trusted, he steps more boldly into responsibility. When he feels supported instead of controlled, he no longer hides his potential, he unleashes it. This is the psychological shift. He no longer lives only for survival or performance, he begins to live with purpose. Psychology explains it clearly. Human beings are shaped by the environments they feel safe in. When the environment is filled with judgment and control, people shrink. They protect themselves. They do just enough to survive. But when the environment is filled with trust and respect, people expand. They take risks. They grow. They strive to become the best version of themselves. The same is true for men in relationships. When a man feels like he cannot measure up, when he feels constantly judged or doubted, he pulls back. His energy fades. His ambition weakens. But when he feels trusted, respected, and truly valued, he transforms. He begins to dream bigger, to work harder, to love deeper. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. Because now he has a reason beyond himself. Think of it this way. Every man carries within him both fear and strength. Which side he shows depends on the atmosphere around him. The woman who creates an atmosphere of doubt will always see his fear. But the woman who creates an atmosphere of trust and respect will always see his strength. And once he feels that strength being recognized, he lives up to it. This shift is what makes a man become more protective, more loyal, more ambitious. It is what makes him willing to sacrifice, to build, to fight for something greater than himself. Because when a man feels this kind of support, he is no longer just a man moving through life. He becomes a man on a mission. But notice this, the shift does not come from pressure. It does not come from demands. It comes from belief. When he feels that someone truly believes in him, his psychology changes. His self-image rises. He sees himself not through the eyes of his doubt, but through the eyes of the one who believes in him. And that belief becomes fuel that pushes him further than he thought possible. This is why men stay devoted to women who give them this feeling, because it is rare. The world often tears men down, criticizes them, doubts them, or reduces them to their failures. But when a woman offers the opposite, when she shows trust, respect, and encouragement, he experiences something he cannot find anywhere else. She becomes the one person who sees the greatness he carries, even when he forgets it himself. And here's the paradox. The more a man experiences this shift, the more he gives back. He doesn't just keep the respect to himself, he returns it. He doesn't just receive trust, he becomes more trustworthy. He doesn't just feel love, he expresses it with greater depth. Because the man who feels empowered by belief becomes the man who empowers in return. This is the psychological shift. It turns insecurity into strength. It turns fear into courage. It turns ordinary love into unbreakable devotion. And when a man experiences it, he never looks at the relationship the same way again. It becomes more than love. It becomes his reason to grow, to build, to protect, and to give the best of himself every single day. So understand this. The way a man feels in a relationship does not only affect his heart, it affects his entire identity. And when he feels trusted, respected, and supported, he steps into the highest version of himself. That shift is what binds him, not just with affection, but with a devotion that lasts a lifetime. When a man experiences that inner shift, when he begins to step into his strength and live with greater purpose, it happens because of something powerful that he feels in the relationship. But here is where many forget the truth. It's not about perfection. It's not about doing everything right or saying everything correctly. It's about presence, consistency, and the small things that create lasting impact. What women must remember is this: men do not fall in love with flawless beauty or perfect words. They fall in love with how they feel when they are with you. And what they long for most is the sense that they are valued, respected, and believed in. That's what nourishes a man's heart. That's what drives his loyalty and devotion. It's easy to think that grand gestures are what matter most, but psychology proves that the little things leave the deepest marks. A word of encouragement when he doubts himself, gratitude expressed for the things he does, even the smallest ones, patience shown when he struggles, belief voiced when he feels like giving up. These moments seem small in the moment, but they shape the way he sees himself and the way he sees you. A woman who understands this becomes unforgettable because she knows that relationships are not built on perfection, but on patterns. And the pattern that matters most is the pattern of presence, the consistent reminder that she sees him, values him, and believes in him. This is what men hold on to. This is what makes them feel safe, respected, and deeply connected. And here's the truth. Most forget. Men are not asking for someone who never disagrees, never challenges, never points out mistakes. What they are asking for is respect through it all. They want honesty, but without humiliation. They want guidance, but without control. They want love, but without conditions. When a man feels that balance, he knows he has found something rare. Remember this: men may look strong, but their hearts are fragile in ways the world never sees. They are often carrying pressure, responsibility, and silent battles that no one applauds them for. A woman who remembers this, who chooses compassion instead of criticism, who chooses respect instead of control, becomes the safe place he never wants to lose. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present in the moments that matter. It's about noticing when he's quiet and offering belief instead of blame. It's about standing beside him, not above him or behind him. These things may sound simple, but they are the very foundation of devotion. Psychology teaches us that people remember emotions far longer than they remember words. Long after the exact conversations fade, a man will remember the way you made him feel. Did he feel respected or belittled? Did he feel trusted or doubted? Did he feel cherished or criticized? These emotional imprints last for years, sometimes a lifetime, and they determine not only how he sees the relationship, but how he sees himself. This is why the woman who offers presence, respect, and belief leaves an impact, deeper than beauty, deeper than charm, deeper than anything temporary. Because while beauty may turn heads, it is respect and belief that capture hearts. So women must remember this: it is not the grand speeches, not the perfect appearances, not the flawless performance that men love most. It is the steady, consistent reminder that they are seen, valued, and believed in. It is the feeling that no matter what storms they face, there is someone who respects them, someone who trusts them, someone who believes in their strength. And here is the reward. When a man feels this, he gives back more than he ever received. He protects with more strength. He provides with more passion. He loves with more depth, because in his heart, he knows he has found something priceless, something that makes him stronger, something that gives his life meaning. So never forget, what men truly love is not perfection, it's presence. Not flawless words, but genuine respect. Not control, but belief. These are the things that build the kind of love that lasts a lifetime. These are the things that make him look at you and know without a doubt that he has found the one he never wants to let go. At the end of everything, when all the noise of life fades, people don't remember the material things. They don't remember every word spoken, every mistake made, or every argument had. What stays is the feeling of being respected, the feeling of being trusted, the feeling of being deeply valued. That is what lasts. That is what defines love. Men may seem complicated, but at their core, they long for the same thing all human beings long for: to feel safe in love, to feel that they can be strong without being feared, weak without being shamed, ambitious without being doubted. and vulnerable without being judged. When a man finds this balance, he knows he has found something priceless. He knows he has found home. And here lies the truth. Men don't fall in love with appearances alone. They don't stay for beauty alone. They don't give their deepest loyalty because of charm or attraction. Those things may capture attention, but they do not capture devotion. Devotion comes from something far greater. It comes from the way you make him feel. When a man feels respected, he rises. When he feels trusted, he leads. When he feels believed in, he dares to reach higher. And when he feels loved, not for what he can provide, but for who he is, he gives back with everything inside of him. That is the kind of love that cannot be shaken by time, distance, or difficulty, because it is rooted not in appearances, but in the deepest part of human psychology, the need to feel valued. Think of it this way. A man may forget the compliments from strangers, the applause from the world, even the recognition from his work, but he never forgets the respect of the woman he loves. He never forgets the trust she placed in him when he doubted himself. He never forgets the peace he felt when she stood beside him in his hardest battles. These memories become his anchor, his reminder of what love truly means. And this is why men cherish women who give them this feeling, because it is rare. In a world filled with criticism, comparison, and constant judgment, to find someone who offers trust, respect, and encouragement is like finding water in a desert. It is life-giving. It is unforgettable. So remember this, love that lasts is not built on conditions. It is built on consistency. It is not measured by how perfect you look, but by how present you are. It is not held together by control, but by respect. When a man experiences this kind of love, he doesn't just love you back. He devotes himself to you. He protects it. He builds around it. He refuses to let it go because deep down he knows he will never find it again. This is what men love most, the feeling that they are respected, trusted, and deeply valued. And when they feel it, they do not just stay. They grow. They rise. They transform into stronger, better versions of themselves. Not because they are forced to, but because they are inspired to. And that is the essence of real love. It pulls out the best in us, not through pressure, but through presence. So here is the final truth. If you want to know the secret to a man's heart, it is not hidden in grand gestures or perfect appearances. It is hidden in the daily moments where you choose respect over control, belief over doubt, trust over fear, and presence over perfection. These choices create the feeling that men never forget. And when a man feels that feeling, he knows deep in his soul that he has found the person he will never let go. Because it is not just about love anymore. It is about identity. It is about purpose. It is about home. So let these words sink in. Men fall in love with how you make them feel. Give him the feeling of trust, the feeling of respect, the feeling of being truly seen and valued. And you will not only win his heart, you will inspire his soul. And that kind of love, the love built on respect and trust, is the kind of love that lasts forever.